Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a KPCC Pledge Drive party. My name's John Rabe. We are delighted to have you here at the Crawford Family Forum. I'm your warm-up comedian, because there's somebody funnier here tonight. And man, I have a huge list here of all the different platforms that we are on tonight. This is, you know the term meta. This is a meta event. We're doing everything. We're mixing it all up. And the first thing I want to do is to encourage you to remember that this is, for 40,000 people, a live radio broadcast. So if they say something funny or smart and you want to yell, you want to applaud, you want to laugh, do it a little bit extra loud. So let's, I'll do like a... Not like laugh track, no. But let's have a good, big laugh. That's good. That's pretty good. Okay. The number two thing is when we start the broadcast at 06, it's a party, right? It's a surprise party. So I want to practice that. I'm going to go, okay, all right, they're here. Oh, they're coming in. Okay, now. And then you're going to go, surprise. Okay, well, let's do that. Okay, oh, I think they're at the door. All right, they're coming in. Okay, now. Surprise! That's perfect. So you'll do it exactly like that, except I need you to be a little louder. We are on the radio for 40,000 people. We are webcasting this at kpcc.org. Hello, everybody who's watching. We're at the Crawford Family Forum. This is Pledge Central. If you want to make a contribution, you can do it over there. This is like a revival. We were going to have also KPCC environmental reporter Molly Peterson here tonight. She can't make it, unfortunately, but she did send her love.
Hi, Crawford Family Forum. It's Molly Peterson, your environment reporter here at KPCC. I'm very, very sorry that I'm not there with you tonight. You're in the capable hands of John Rabe. Oscar Garza got a haircut for the occasion. Let's have some applause. And Cheech is there. You guys are going to have such a great party tonight. I'm here in Boyle Heights at Resurrection Church because we're covering this story about Vernon, about air pollution, about groundwater contamination in a poor neighborhood, and we're concerned about it. KPCC is part of the community, and this is my job. So thank you for understanding, and I hope you have a great night.
That's nice. Yes, Oscar, you're on mic.
I get to put it on my expense account now.
Oh, the haircut, yes, absolutely, the $5 hair, the $40 haircut, sorry. This is very similar to what it's like during the pledge drive, except that the percentage of attractive people is much higher. So we wanted to give you this whole experience. The pledge drives are fun. It's when we reach out to audiences and bring them in. And, you know, we really do. We actually enjoy doing the pledge drive. So it's great to have you here seeing what it's like. If you're watching us on webcam, the folks in the audience at home are going to be, and driving around town, they're going to be seeing what it's like to see a radio broadcast happen. And all of you here are going to see what it's like having a pledge drive radio broadcast happen. We're going to take 4 pledge breaks, Rena Palta and I. And then in between, we're going to have actual intelligent conversation with Oscar Garza and the actor, the filmmaker, the comedian, the singer, you've heard his songs, and one of the men who's done maybe the most for art in the last decade, Cheech Marin. We're going to do all of this in an hour here, and then for all of you here and for the audience at kpcc.org watching live, there's going to be a Q&A with your questions for Cheech and Oscar. So we're going to keep it going. There's also music. We're not going to hear it during the 8 to 9 o'clock hour, but we have Los Pochos here, who we were enjoying earlier. Los Pochos is Elliot Barabo and a guy named Otonio Lujan, who is the son of one of the most famous artists to come out of Southern California, Gilbert Lujan. So thank you guys for being here. We also want to thank Heirloom LA for providing foodstuffs. And the liquid refreshments come from Sun Series, so thank you very much for helping to lubricate us. So I think that's it. Remember, the surprise thing's coming up. Everybody on the web knows about it already, but on the radio, it's going to be a big surprise. So be really, really loud, okay? Then we're going to go into a pledge break, and then we're going to talk with those guys. So that's what's happening on the broadcast. I think that's it. I'm going to go sit in my chair, get ready, take a breath. Remember, you're going on in just a few minutes, okay?
Was there as well, and they said, look, we can't go back in time beyond 6 weeks to test for lead. There aren't really reliable tests for arsenic. It's hard for us to say exactly what is related to this plant in your health concerns. And that's something that people found very scary.
All right, thanks so much. That is KPCC's Molly Peterson in Boyle Heights tonight. Well, we here at KPCC have a party going on tonight. And now let's catch up with John Rabe live in the Crawford Family Forum.
It's a pledge drive. It's a party. It's a pledge drive party. Welcome, everybody. Oh, wait, our listeners, they're just coming in the door right now. Wait. Okay, they're here. Ready? Welcome. It's a big party. We decided to move things around, to take our usual pledge drive and add some fun, to add some music, to add a whole bunch of people here at the Crawford Family Forum, where I am right now with Rena Palta, and to add some interesting conversation. We have Oscar Garza, who's going to be talking with Cheech Marin. We also have business to do, Rena. We got to raise some money at kpcc.org.
That's right. And today we actually have a dollar for dollar challenge going on. We're trying to raise $100,000 by midnight. That sounds like a lot, but we're doing it a little bit at a time. So $10 a month goes a long way around here. We need your support now. kpcc.org. And what's that phone number, John?
866-888-5722. So kpcc.org or 866-888-5722. Here's the deal. For the rest of the evening, KPCC trustee Doug Cranwinkle is matching every gift we receive, every single gift. So $10 a month becomes $20 a month.
Did anyone tell him he's doing that?
Yes.
Okay, that's good.
I think so.
Well, I'm grateful to be at this party right now, and I'm grateful to have the opportunity to ask you to call in and give right now. 866-888-5722. $10 of your money now becomes $20 magically thanks to this dollar for dollar challenge.
This is terrific. We need you to be a part of this party. Rena Palta is here, crime and public safety reporter. She covers the news along with the rest of our huge news team. Give now at kpcc.org because you like that. And when you give, go on Twitter and do hashtag KPCCLove. We're tweeting this event. It's one of the platforms that we're using tonight, along with the Crawford Family Forum, which is where we bring people in so that we can have a face-to-face discussion about the issues, or maybe we just have fun. Maybe we have a party. Maybe we do a voters forum. We are out on the radio tonight to about 40,000 people listening right now. Give at kpcc.org because you appreciate all the ways that we spread our tentacles into the community.
Exactly. You know, not only do we have this amazing forum where people come in and meet us and get to talk about the issues of the day, we also have a lot going on in our digital space. We have kpcc.org that's just exploded in the last year. We've also got an iPad app coming soon where you'll be able to see photos, videos, new dimensions of what we do here at KPCC.
This has been a terrific fund drive. One of the things, by the way, you maybe haven't noticed, we haven't had thank you gifts during this drive because we thought we wanted to focus on the great programming.
Noble.
But tonight we're making an exception. And so if you go to kpcc.org, you can watch this whole affair that we're having, the Pledge Drive party. You can watch it happen live at kpcc.org. And right in the middle of the screen, you will see the various lovely thank you gifts that we have.
I think I see a baseball shirt.
Yeah, this is nice.
What else is over there? A mug?
There's, I think we're headed toward a mug, and there might be some silly stuff later on, I'm told.
So now is a great time to pledge because this is the first time we're offering gifts during our membership drive. We know you guys love the gifts. We know you guys are into the Dodgers right now. Maybe you want to suit up in a... Yeah, that's right. Maybe you want to suit up in a KPCC baseball t-shirt.
Also, we are soliciting comments from listeners, all of the folks in the audience here, about why people should give to KPCC. We're going to be sharing those with our listening audience at home and online at kpcc.org. And I understand that there are a few people here who have been listening for a long time and haven't given yet. So maybe even an evolutionary biologist who's here in the audience. Don't raise your hand right now. We're going to be working on them. This is going to be a revival. You are going to come to Jesus. You are going to be giving right now at kpcc.org. And you can do that right in the back of the room when we have raised your guilt level sufficiently.
So those of you who are at home and can't hand John Rabe money in person, you can call 866-888-5722. Go on to kpcc.org. Maybe pledge $15 a month, and we'll thank you with this beautiful KPCC baseball tee.
kpcc.org or 866-888-5722. Do it right now. Your contribution is matched dollar for dollar. It's never going to get better than this. Give it kpcc.org or 866-888-5722. Now I turn it over to my colleague, editor Oscar Garza, and his guest, Cheech Marin.
Thank you very much, John, and thank all of you for coming here tonight, for those of you who are here and for those of you who are watching on our video stream, and for those of you who are listening online somehow or listening on an old-fashioned crank radio. I can't think of all the ways that you could possibly be watching or listening to this tonight, but thank you all very much so. You either know Cheech Marin from his partnership in the iconoclastic comedy duo Cheech and Chong, or you may know him from his long career as a comedic actor. But along the way, he has also become, as far as I know, the foremost collector of Chicano art in the world, I believe.
Universe.
In the universe. I'm sorry. He told me it was a universe or beforehand. And tonight he's here with us to discuss the latest exhibition and the book that's been culled from that collection. I've had the pleasure of interviewing him on several occasions, and I'm happy to do so again tonight. So ladies and gentlemen, Cheech Marin. Thank you. How are you, Richard?
I'm ducky.
Did anybody ever call you Richard?
My mother.
Yeah? Always? I mean,
always Richard, yeah. Dick for short, although not really. And, but...
6 second delay. 6 second
boom.
Because not everybody knows. Where did Cheech come from?
Cheech is short for chicharron, and chicharrones are deep-fried pig skins. They're like Mexican potato chips, and they're like curled up. And when I was a little baby, my uncle looked in the crib, and I was 2 days old. It was like curl, you know how the babies are. And he said, "Ay, parece un chicharrón. Looks just like a little chicharrón." So that became my name in the family, Chicharrón, and you know, and everybody's name gets shortened. So I was Cheech.
And a little known culinary fact, they're really good for you.
They are very good for you. They don't clog your arteries at all.
So the latest book and traveling exhibition that is making its way around the country is called Chicanitas, Small Paintings from the Cheech Marin Collection. And first, I'm glad you cleared that up, because when I first heard the name of the book, I thought it was work by small-statured Mexican-American
well, there's some in
women
there.
artists. But it's not. It's actually small format works from your collection. So tell me, how did that come about? Did you intentionally start collecting that way, or did you realize one day, hey, I've got sort of a collection within a collection here?
Well, you know, actually both and, because I had little works, you know, because they appealed to me. And then I started, when I was traveling at various museums around the country, I started noticing that very important museums were showing collections of small works, especially the National Gallery in Washington where I visit every time I'm in the city. And I noticed that the reaction that the small works were getting, that people would come up closer to the works, they would spend more time with them, they would really engage with them, and they would come back, because I was coming back, and I would see the same people kind of day after day. So there's something here, there's something very intimate being told here with these small format works, and it really harkened back to when I was in making records. You know, it's like they're singles. You know, they're a minute 59 singles, and you got to say it. You got has to have a beginning, middle, and end. It's got to get the message across clearly. And if you can do that in that small format, I mean, you generally around 12 by 12 inches, 16 by 10, but small.
I read the story that you told. I believe it's in the book in one of your essays about going to see the works of your sort of these iconic Dutch painters and being surprised by, you expected to see a bunch of large paintings.
Well, you know, I did. I was in the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam, and we were making a film there. And I went to the museum, and all my life I'd seen Rembrandt's work, and he was one of my favorite painters. And there was one work he had, the Night Watch, and you always see it in reproduction, a little picture. And I went to the Rijksmuseum, and it's a mural. It's just giant. It takes up the whole wall. I was like, my dear God, you know. And I remembered that reaction. And so when I do an art tour, I'm going to have big works like that. And I wanted them to be very, very iconic, you know, and then very to engage you on that level. And at the same time, right after lunch, I walked down the hall at the Rijksmuseum, and there was a room full of Vermeers, Johannes Vermeer, who's another of my favorite painter, and I'd seen his work all my life, and they were tiny. They were little, just like I go, you know, there's such power in that stillness that I didn't forget that either. So someday I'm going to do a tour that shows that.
And at some point, did you start to consciously look for that work as you were collecting? And
oh yeah, once I made my mind, this is what I want to do, I started looking for those works, and every painter has them. You know, they may not be the most popular work, but they all do those things because, especially when in the younger days of your career, canvas is expensive for starving artists. And so they grab whatever they can, whether it's a little wood panel or a plywood or board or whatever that, or paper, and they make these small works because they can afford to do it, because, you know, painters cannot paint, not help but paint, and so they all had them. So I started, you know what, can you make me, I asked several of the artists, can you make me some small works? I'm doing this small show, and they all responded to that really quickly.
I was surprised because as I was going through the book, seeing works by, for example, Franco Romero, who you're accustomed to seeing these grand, you know, beautiful works, and to see the sort of these miniatures is really amazing.
Yeah, I saw them, those particular miniatures, I saw them at a show in Santa Monica, and by the time I got around to wanting to put those in the show, he had sold them all, so make me some more, you know, and that's what he did.
This is the cover of the image that's on the cover of the book. It's by an artist named Ricardo Ruiz, who is from
Corpus Christi,
Texas. So tell me, how did you know his work? How did you find him?
No, you know, fortunately for me, I travel a lot, you know, in Cheech and Chong and other movies and my solo career, and so I get to places that nobody else does, you know, and now I'm at the point where I seek out the artists. My art manager, where she's Melissa, rounds them up for me. There she is, and also they seek me out at the same time. So it's really wherever I go, they kind of appear one way or the other. And Ricardo Ruiz was from Corpus Christi, Texas, and I got taken to this one gallery there. And I was amazed at the artists that were there that were, you know, couldn't even get a gallery in Corpus Christi.
What struck you about his work?
They weren't these works at first. There was one painting that called commemorated the night that snow fell in Corpus Christi, and it doesn't happen every day. And you know, and it was the definition of why I buy a painting is that the painting has to haunt me. You know, I see it and I think about it the next day, and somehow it enters my dreams, and I think about it the day after that, and then the day after that I leave that city, and then I'm still thinking about this painting, and so I go, okay, I got to get this, you know. And so there was a couple of his paintings were like that for me, and so then I got taken to his studio, and I saw these little, and these are little, these masotas.
We're not going to translate that.
Masotas is short for mamas. Oh, mama sota, man, like big mamas, and he does them, you know, like after work, or you know, and they're small. They're like 4 by 5 inches. They're tiny, and he paints them every day. And what these particular ones come from when he was a kid, his teenage sister went to Catholic school, and her and her girlfriends would come home at the end of the day, and they all in their Catholic school uniforms. And would disappear into her room, and you hear the rock and roll radio go on. You see smoke coming out from under the thing, and you hear them laughing and ha ha ha. And when they opened the door, finally they were like dolled up. You know, have these big bouffant hairdos and lipstick and eyeshadow, and he just thought they were so glamorous. You know, so this is his homage to his sisters.
Well, if you're watching on our video stream, I'm hoping you can see those images. I think they're also online. If you're listening on a pure radio, you can't see them, so don't try. But you could buy the book if you wanted to see it. There's a method to this madness here. All right, so we're going to be back with some more conversation with Cheech Marin and talk more about his collection. But for right now, I believe we're going to go back to my colleagues.
Or you can call 866-888-5722.
He's a all-purpose entertainer. He's my colleagues John Rabe and Rena Palto.
Thank you very much, Oscar. Thank you very much, Cheech Marin. Man, this is great. This is the Pledge Drive party. John Rabe here with Rena. What's going? You're just tuning in. You're like, what is going? Where's Terry Gross or whatever? Where am I? Well, we're at the Crawford Family Forum, and Cheech Marin and Oscar have crashed the Pledge Drive along with a whole bunch of people here at the forum. You can see all this happen at kpcc.org, and that's also where you can see the mug, the $10 a month mug. I'm going to turn it over to Rena for just a second because I want to talk with Maggie Muscardi. Maybe she'd stand up so I could come out and talk with her. Are you there? Okay, I see her. Rena,
all right, well, John wades into the crowd here at the Crawford Family Forum. I'm going to tell you how you get that amazing coffee mug. All the best KPCC groupies have one. Call in $10 a month, and we'll thank you with this beautiful mug, 866-888-5722, kpcc.org. And you can also look at what we're doing here at the forum. If you might be confused listening to your radio, you won't be if you go to kpcc.org.
It's a beautiful mug. I'm modeling it right now at kpcc.org. So you are Maggie Muscardi?
Yes, John.
I got your name right? Oh, I'll hold the microphone, ma'am.
Yes, you did.
From Monterey Park?
Yes, I am.
Okay, this is your moment. There are 40,000, maybe 100,000 people listening right now. Most of them have not given to public radio.
Oh, my God.
Well, I'll hold the microphone.
Guys, you have to give. I'm from Haiti, you know, and I'll tell you what, coming to America and being part of KPCC's membership changed my life. I'm telling you, absolutely. I'm informed. I'm a U.S. citizen, so I vote. Wow. And I learned about all the issues through you guys here. Wow. And I'll tell you what, you saved me on the freeway. All right?
From going crazy.
From going crazy.
And killing people.
Oh, I don't know about that, John.
Oh, I know that I do not kill people because I'm listening to Steve Julian or to...
Yes. Well, I listen to Madeline Brand.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Give right now, folks. The phones are ringing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. How could they not with Maggie Muscardi making the case? Give it kpcc.org or 866-888-5722.
Wow, saving people on the freeway, one person at a time. That's amazing. I know that a lot of people have probably gotten home by now, though, so they're free to make a phone call. Real easy, 866-888-5722. Again, $10 a month. We'll thank you with this beautiful mug.
It is beautiful. What Maggie was saying about, coming here, becoming a citizen, getting yourself educated. How can you go into the voting booth without knowing what's happening, what the issues are?
Very true.
How can you live in Los Angeles without needing to hear reports on crime and public safety, the stuff that you do and the rest of the team, all the editors? That stuff takes real people spending real time, and so we have to pay real people to do reporting. You don't get good reporting by just ripping and reading or getting stuff out of the LA Times.
That's very true. Good reporting, I like to tell people, is very inefficient. You got to hang around, you got to talk to a lot of people, and it takes a lot of time to do, especially when you want to bring back great stories with great sound and really convey what you've seen in the world and let people know, where you've been. It's really important.
Give now, please, at kpcc.org. Right now, every single contribution you make, every dollar you make, $10 a month for KPCC, that gets doubled because we have a special match happening right now. Dollar for dollar match. Give now at kpcc.org or call 866-888-5722. If you're in the room right now, you heard Maggie talking, this is a person right here who gave. Come on, you can give, kpcc.org or in the back of the room at the Crawford Family Forum.
That's right. We're trying to make it to $100,000 by midnight, which is an aggressive goal, but we're pretty sure we can do it. Doug Cranwinkle is matching your gift right now. $10 a month is a great level for us. It's pretty much the price of a really expensive salad, but it goes a long way for us. And with the match of a dollar for dollar challenge, it goes even further.
Thank you very much, Rena Paulta. Now let's go back, as we're asking people to give at kpcc.org and watch us here in the Crawford Family Forum at kpcc.org. Back to Oscar Garza and Cheech Marin.
All right, thank you, John. And thank you all again. Cheech, you've been, let's get some basics out of the way. You've been collecting since when?
Chicano art since 1985.
1985. And what was the impetus?
You know, I was educated and self-educated in art all my life, and the gap in my knowledge was contemporary art. So about that time, I started going to galleries on the west side of LA to see what was happening in contemporary art. And I just happened to discover these Chicano artists right at that time. I went to a couple galleries where they were featured, and I was struck not only by how much I related to the art, but I related to it on another level. I related to it as classic art because I'd been studying painting all my life. And these guys, these artists were really good, and I recognized it right away. It's like the first time you hear the Beatles, you know, like, I know that music. That's Chuck Berry and Jerry Lee Lewis and all this, but it's different, you know? And so that's what I recognized in the Chicano painters. They were really classically trained painters, but they had this enthusiasm that nobody else had.
What was the first piece you bought?
I bought a bunch of pieces at the same time. Some by George Yepes, and some by Frank Romero, and a piece by what's his name? The illustrator. I'll think of it in a minute. Yeah.
And do you mind saying how large your collection is?
I don't know. I don't know at this point. According to my wife, too large. No, it's about 500-600 paintings now. You know.
So I had the fortune of going to an event at your former home once, and I wanted to ask you about living with this work because you talked about sort of switching work in and out, and I know that you've recently changed residences.
Yes, I did.
I haven't been to your new home.
If you're good, we'll see how this goes.
But talk about living with this collection and what moves you to say, hey, it's time to look at something else. I think I'm going to switch it.
You know, it's the joy of my life living with art. I mean, you know, I've moved into a new house now. It has a lot of walls. I lived in a very small house before, and you know, I crammed it with as much art as I could. But now I have a lot of wall space, and so I can put up anything I want. I can put up 50, 60 paintings at a time, you know, so it's like, yow. And but you know, for me, living with art is essential. I can't imagine not doing it anymore because every time you pass by one of these paintings, they give off these rays, you know, they're like radioactive, and every time, and I think that's what the artist intended. There's some vibration that they invest into these paintings that gives, you know, you feel it every time you walk by it, and you see something different in it every time, or you interpret it some different way, or depending upon your mood or the light or how you feel that day, at how you relate to that paintings, and I just keep walking by them, and I stop at every one of the paintings almost every day, like, oh well, yeah, I didn't see that before.
How do you get anything done?
I don't get anything done. That's the problem, you know. But now we've kind of made it a rule, so because it, you know, I hate to have the collection in storage. You know, but it's necessary for some part, and so that's why I do all these tours so that everybody can see them. I want to get them on the road. It's like getting your kids out of the house, you know. Fly, little birds, fly. Get a job.
Well, I'm glad you have a bigger space because your other place was kind of a dump.
Yeah. Well.
So if you have the book, there are paintings in the book done by Patsy Valdez of his former residence. Very lovely place.
It was a beautiful, I mean, it was just the most beautiful house on the beach you could ever imagine. But it was small. It was tiny, and it didn't have a lot of wall space. And this one is different. And then we change the paintings once a year, whether, you know, they need it or not, you know, because, okay, time to get them in and out. And you hate to see some of your favorites go, you're going, you're leaving. But no, they'll come back, but then you get to appreciate the new ones, and then collectors are addicts. There's no other way to say it. I mean, it's an addiction when you start. And I've been an addict all my life, whether it's baseball cards or marbles or matchbook covers. I had a penchant for collecting, and so I can't wait to see new art on the walls, and I can't wait to see new artists.
I'm glad that's what you said when you said you've been an addict all your life.
Well,
I wasn't sure where that was going to go.
Yeah, we never know.
So I want to ask you about differences, generational differences amongst Chicano artists, because they're in the last, I guess, there's a new generation. Let's just say that there's a new younger generation of Chicano artists who are less concerned with making work that's overtly about identity, that's overtly about cultural experience, say. And this is probably an example, again, for you listening just on the radio, you can't see it. But this is an artist named, is it Jari?
Yari Alvarez.
Yari Alvarez from El Paso, another Texas artist, right? And maybe this isn't the best example of what I was talking about, but this is very different than say work that was created in the 70s maybe or the 80s, and there is a generational split going on, right?
We're in our fourth generation of Chicano artists right now. The first generation started, it was a very political movement. The art was all political, and it was about political issues. It coincided with the Chicano civil rights movement, which coincided with the African American civil rights movement, and so the art was all about that, about resistance and change and political identity. But as that kind of passed, not that those issues passed, but as the focus on that passed, all these artists were involved in their own private artistic concerns, whether it's sunsets or portraits or generational things or humor, whatever that was. And then another generation follows right on their heels. And what I've noticed throughout the years is that political wave keeps getting resurgent. It starts with the next generation of artists. They're very public, and they're very engaged in the community. And it's a different kind of politics than fist waving and barbed wire and smoking joints. And it's more about the interaction with their community, with the community at large. And so a lot of these, especially this kid work, Yari Alvarez, he's from El Paso, Texas. And they're hyphenates all the time. They're muralists, they're rappers, they're DJs, they're portrait painters, and Yari just got a huge commission for the city of San Diego at the airport, where he's doing the biggest mural of any artwork in San Diego. He's replacing this big Charles Lindbergh mural that they've had there forever, and he just won that commission. But next week he'll be in Berlin doing the same thing. So the youngest of the artists are joining this big street art movement that's international, right almost from the beginning. They can be in Berlin or Colombia or South America or South Africa at the same time, and they're doing that.
And as you've traveled, around the world, but especially in the American Southwest, where most of this work is from, so in that region, what have you noticed in the way of sort of stylistic differences, between artists in California and artists in Texas?
Well, at the beginning, it was mostly a difference between urban and rural, but with a Chicano heart in it. And that's when I first learned that, hey, there's a school here, because I got introduced to the artists of Texas at the same time as I got introduced to the artists of LA and San Francisco. And I looked at them and said, this is the same DNA. The one's a little more country cousin, the one's a more city mouse, but they're talking about the same things. And you see that there's the strains of these artists, the themes that they got, are very much international, but these are border issues. In this particular one, Donkey Show, I don't know if everybody been down to Tijuana, and the first thing you see is these donkeys painted like zebras. And you get on a cart and you get your picture taken with them. I have one from when I was a little kid, and it's a souvenir of Tijuana. And so the identity, there's another painting I have by Edgar Ramirez, I think. No, anyways, some Mexican guy. Anyways, and it's of a donkey, but painted as a zebra. And then the donkey, it's a big painting, is staring right at you, and he's like, "What am I?" Am I a donkey? Am I a zebra? I have my foot in a paint bucket here. And it's an identity question. What am I supposed to be to you? Am I supposed to be perceived as this or that? And it's the same question that Chicanos, Mexican Americans, or any hyphenates have in this country. What am I supposed to be to you? And what am I? And so it's a very cool question.
So the younger generation perhaps addressing those same issues, but perhaps a little more subtly, more subtlety.
And with more, of their own particular flavor. Yari is a very cool collage artist, and so he has like Mexican porno cartoons in there, and there's layers and layers and layers of his work, and it's very deep and very subtle and very nuanced, and he just keeps and they're small. This is small work,
and that's what I was going to say. It looks so fantastic, huge as we're seeing it, but it's how
that's
big is
the
it?
best thing about these little paintings. When you blow them up, they look like the most important artworks in the world, and some of them are just they're 4 inches. But you see actually every single brush stroke that the artist puts on. And every single brush stroke has to count. They don't have yards and yards of canvas to kind of make gestural paintings swipes. So they're very very tiny, but they're alive. I mean, they're really alive.
So this collection, Chicanitas, and it's a touring show as well. How many shows have you now compiled from your collection that have toured?
This will be the 3rd or 4th one. And then Chicanitas is ongoing. I mean, we're booked we were booked last year, all through last year. I think 4 or 5 shows. Now we're doing 6 shows or 7 this year, and as many next year. So I call this the club tour. The band it's not the arena tour, it's the club tour. They get in the van and they go on the next one. And we play smaller museums. They don't have such a long lead time that you have to go to get in them. And in communities that heretofore had never seen Chicano art. We just played a Washington and Lee University in Lexington, Virginia, founded by George Washington, and Robert E. Lee was the first president, and he's buried there, and it's a very kind of Americana, and they have 3 semesters, 2 regular and 1 third semester where it lasts for a month, and you take 1 class and you go do it every day. And this year, the art department of Washington and Lee University chose Chicanitas as their semester, and all the kids studied every one.
Wow, it's fantastic.
Great, What it is, it's inroads into the American consciousness because the Latinos are the mainstream now. Last year in this country, 50.6% of all children born in the United States last year are Latino. 50.6%. That is the majority. And every one of those kids is going to have 100 kids, because they're overwhelmingly Mexican,
On that note, so we're going to come back and talk a little bit more with Cheech in just a minute.
There'll be more Mexicans by the time you come back. and you can type in kpcc.org and make your pledge.
John Rabe, Rena Paul.
Oscar and Cheech, something cool was happening while you were talking. This actually happened about 20 minutes ago. Somebody on Twitter...
I thought you were going to say somebody brought a dog.
No. Somebody on Twitter posted the painting The Night Watch by Rembrandt that you were talking about, which is so cool. So here we are. We're all at the Crawford Family Forum hearing this conversation with Oscar and Cheech. You're listening on the radio. We've got a webcast going at kpcc.org, and we're on the social media platforms, hashtag KPCCLove, and people are engaging that way too, talking about the art, showing pictures of the art. It's great. Give it kpcc.org.
Exactly. And we've also got serious business underway here. We're in the midst of a massive dollar for dollar challenge, which means any contribution you give today is doubled. And we're about $5,000 away from matching all $100,000 of this dollar for dollar challenge. We need your help, 866-888-5722 or kpcc.org.
This is cool. Doug Cranwinkle is matching every gift up to $100,000. So your $10 a month contribution becomes $20 a month. $5 a month, you can get the KPCC pet bandana, which is being modeled by Poochie here.
A very attractive pooch.
You can see it at kpcc.org on our webcast. Stay. Oh. Pooch. Oh. Anyway, you can see that online. That becomes $10 a month for KPCC, and we're counting this down. We've got $5,000 to go until we max out the $100,000. That's exciting. Can you think of stuff to do with $5,000, like report?
I think I could think of about 1 million stories that I'd want to do with that $5,000. That's the thing. We do this every day for you guys. We bring in great stories, and all we ask in return just a few times a year is a few contribution dollars to help us get this job done. $4,700 to go to match all of our matching funds in this crazy $100,000 dollar for dollar challenge.
$4,700 to go. We got to bring in those $4,700. So if you're here and ready to make a pledge, go to the back table here at the Crawford Family Forum. If you're online watching this happen, click that little button up there and give at kpcc.org. We need you to do it. And if you can pull over, call 866-888-5722. Karen Walker's here from Whittier. She says, related to what Cheech was talking about, getting people to see the artwork, getting students to see the Chicanitas art. Education is a lifelong pursuit, Karen Walker says. Where else can one find stimulating, current, and varied topics every day, all day, peppered with art, all presented in a format that is easily available? Thank you, Karen, for your comments. She's here at the Crawford Family Forum. She's a member. Join her at kpcc.org.
Exactly. We have $4,200 to go, just about. 866-888-5722, kpcc.org. Did we mention that $5 a month gets you this very attractive pet bandana? I wish you guys could see this. If you're not watching already, go to kpcc.org. Check this out. Also, click, contribute, put a dollar amount on what you value here at KPCC. 866-888-5722.
So if you're watching online, kpcc.org, this is little Poochie right here. It was a very quiet dog. And the pet bandana is around its neck. $5 a month for KPCC. I feel like Mike Antonovich on the county cable access channel and his dogs for adoption.
No, those dogs are cute.
Which is a good thing. Oh, Rena.
Ouch. Again, that's 866-888-5722, kpcc.org. If you've never given before, now is a great time to do it because each one of your dollars is being matched. We've got $3,900 to go before midnight.
$3,900, man, it's dollar by dollar. It's counting down. It's happening across Southern California. Maybe the next one's going to come in from somebody who's watching us being silly right now, getting that pet bandana. Doesn't matter. Give at kpcc.org. Richard Coria of San Gabriel's here. He says people should support KPCC because it helps me feel good about the community I live in. I like that too.
That's awesome.
Because it's easy to get cynical about life in Los Angeles, especially if you never go out, if you never meet other people, if you never go to an art gallery or never go to a Chinese restaurant, you never go do all the fun stuff that's around here. You can sit at home and get really cynical.
Exactly. But KPCC is a community. We have these great live events here. We bring you stories from all over Los Angeles, kind of uniting the area. And even our employees here give. KPCC politics reporter Sharon McNary contributed. She says, because I work with such great colleagues at KPCC, I assume she means us.
Yeah, you, not me. So give now at kpcc.org or call 866-888-5722. If you're watching online at kpcc.org, stick around. The Q&A will continue after we go off the radio at 9 o'clock. So stick around. Now let's go back to Oscar Garza and Cheech Marin.
All right. Thank you very much, John and Rena. Just two important points of clarification. Bandana only. Pet stuffed pooch, not part of the deal, right? And Sharon McNary, our colleague who's here and just pledged, we're still editing in the morning. That's not going to get you out of the work we have to do tomorrow. So we're here with Cheech Marin for our final segment. And you mentioned being self-educated. Tell that story. I've heard it before, but it's just because I can see you, I can picture you as a young kid being in the library in Pacoima?
Granada Hills
Granada
at that
Hills.
point.
Okay, all right. I'm sorry. Yes, I know that story. Granada Hills.
Well, I grew up half in South Central LA, 36 in San Pedro, and half in Granada Hills. And when we were 10, we moved to Granada Hills. And one day everybody was black, and then the next day everybody was white, except me in both cases, you know. And so it was a really bifurcated kind of upbringing. But I was lucky enough to have this group of cousins. There was 4 of us actually, and we were kind of this anomaly. We were this kind of academic Chicano working class kids, and they were really smart. I was the runt of the litter. I was always struggling to keep up, and my cousins were very, very smart. They got scholarships to grade school and high school, and really, they got scholarships to grade school and high school and college and everything. And so we were always challenging each other with academic, like the College Bowl, or you know, that was on the time. These quizzing each other, and so my cousin Louis, who was the head of the deal, would assign each of us topics, and you're supposed to go back, learn about that topic, and bring it back to the group. So I got assigned art, and so you know I know Catholic art because there they are, the angels, you know. And so I went to the library and I started taking out all the art books, all the portfolios that they had. Okay, well that's Cézanne, all right, that's Miro, that's Rembrandt, okay. And I looked at every single book that they had in the library, so I had a visual conversation with all these artists. So I was trained classically. I mean, I could tell one painting from the other, and then when I got enough money to buy art, I knew what I was talking about.
But you never attempted to be an artist yourself?
You know, I sucked at it so bad. You know, a man has to know his limitations, you know. I didn't know that art was something you could learn to do, or at least learn to get better at. I thought it was something that you just could do or couldn't, like you were fast, or you were tall, or you were fat, or you were skinny. That's, you know, I never tried it, but I appreciated it, really appreciated it, and I could tell, you know, one artist from the other and one technique from the other. And what really struck my eye in the beginning was the medium of painting. You know, I really liked the quality of paint, the ability to smear it and to overlap it, to make it thick or thin or translucent or opaque, and you know, and I would go to the museums after that, and I would, like, whenever the guards weren't looking, I would run up and touch the paintings, you know, and there you go, but I wanted that textural quality in paint, so that's really what drove me,
and speaking of texture and painterly qualities, this is a work also in the book and in the collection by Margaret Garcia, who's from Los Angeles, and you know, from a sort of previous generation of painters, but just sort of, this is exactly the classic example of what you were talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Her use of paint is just, and here's the painting, of all the painters in the collection, she has improved the most, and you could see her coming every year, getting better as a painter and really concentrating on it. Really. This is the smallest painting in the show. This actually is, I think, 4 by 4 inches, you know, and it's exactly what I was talking about. You know, you can see that it's a car wash, and you can see that car wash spray coming across that car, and it's just like, boy, what a visceral quality. I mean, that one brush stroke makes you feel exactly what that car wash is all about, you know. And she's just getting really, really, really good. All the time.
And the brush, and I say this out of respect and admiration, but the brush work reminds me of the work of someone you said is one of your favorite painters, Carlos Almaraz.
Carlos Almaraz, yeah.
Who, for those of you who don't know, was very prominent Chicano artist here, part of a seminal group called Los Four.
He was the original Chicano artist.
Yeah.
He was the one that formed the group in the Los Four, and he was the one that theorized that we're a painting school. We're a group of painters that painting about a particular thing. And he was very articulate and very well educated and very well traveled. And he was like the John Coltrane of the school. I mean, he was out there, so far out there that they're just still trying to catch up with him, you know. And he could put the painters have a term, they said he can really put it on, you know, put the paint on canvas, and it's very fluid. There's no thinking about it. It's like when you're a great jazz musician and you're not counting anymore. You know your scales back and forwards, and you just, like, you can hear that tune, you know what key it's in, you know what the progression is, and you just go. You don't even think about it. It's such it's innate quality of who you are and what you know. and watching those guys, because they're working in a very primitive medium, hair on a stick. It's hair on a stick. That's all it is. And it comes right from the heart through your arm and out the end of that brush and onto the canvas. And it's the most primitive method, other than finger painting with mud, you know. And so it comes from a handcrafted quality that the Chicanos never gave up. You know, they didn't go into isms. They weren't conceptualists or pointillists or whatever they were. You know, they were painters. You know, it's like great musicians. They never gave up actually playing. You know,
Carlos passed away in 1990.
90, I believe. Yeah.
Somewhere around
was it 89?
Thank you. And we've talked about, you know, sort of the quality of what these are like, and you know, when you see them for real. And so it's unfortunate that we can't see them for real. If you're in Wyoming anytime in the next month and a half, they're on exhibit there. Where else is that show traveling to?
This is going next to San Diego. Then we go to Las Cruces, New Mexico, and I can't remember where.
There is not an LA venue as of right now, but San Diego's close enough if you want to go
But
catch
in
it there.
it's 2017. Yes.
You're going to be at the Vincent Price Art Museum in 2015. We're booked through. You can go to cheechmarin.com/Chicanitas.
Cheechmarin.com is where you can find all the information about the tours.
You can go to the Vincent Price Museum right now and see the work of John Valadez,
Yes.
who is like one of the great painters of our country. And he's there, and with Jesus Salamondo and Germs. 3 generations, 3 different names.
Yeah.
But in 2017, as part of PSA 2, that's sponsored by the Getty, it's going to be called LA, Los Angeles, Latin America. And it's going to examine Latin American art in Los Angeles. And LA County Museum of Art is doing the retrospective of Carlos Almaraz.
Wow, fantastic.
Yeah.
John Valadez, let's talk about him. Is there work of his in here?
Yes, there is. There's 4
because of his, I can't imagine at all being small work.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's just sort of monumental.
Yeah, John Valadez. His last show at San Diego Museum was voted one of the top 10 shows in California last year, and it was fantastic. And so I came to him and says, "I need some small pieces from you, John, and you know, just I don't care what you do, just that this is the requirements. It has to be 12 by 12." So he said, "Oh, okay." And he painted like 4 underwater scenes of people bathing or in the swimming pools on tiles, and they're just erotic and sensual and full of energy. And they're in the Chicanitas show, and you'll see them when they come by. John is just a fantastic painter, just fantastic.
Who else have you found lately? Who are your newest discoveries that people new to you?
Well, this kid work that we showed his, I mean, this guy's all over. He's in Berlin one week, and then Corpus Christi, and then San Diego the next. And there's a kid named Carlos Don Juan. Isn't that a great name? Carlos Don Juan. Looks like an accountant. But he's from Dallas, Texas. A lot of the young ones are coming out of Texas, and he just paints his little gang of little backwards hat skateboarders, you know, mall rats. But they're very, very intriguing, and they're very mysterious and kind of frightening at the same time.
So when you travel, how much time do you devote to looking around?
All the time. Yeah. I mean, all the time. I kind of let it be known that I'm going to be in the city, and they come out. You know, and stuff that you would never, I would never have seen a painting by Ricardo Ruiz from Corpus Christi had I not been there and gone to a particular gallery. But his paintings, like, just knock me out, man. Like, wow, you know. Because I think that like I said before, paintings have to haunt me, you know. I mean, and I have to think about them in days. Oh God, I have to have that because there's some vibration coming off that canvas, and it's grabbing you, and sending a message out. There's talking to you, just like the Chicanitas. They whisper to you. You have to get close to them. You have to study them. You have to. Oh, okay. Then you get the message. But larger paintings like that, like and every time you walk by them, I have this in my living room. And every time I walk by, it's like, you know.
What have you? Has there ever been an instance where there was a piece you wanted that you couldn't get for some reason? Somebody else owned it? Or?
All the time.
All the time? Yeah.
All the time. And, you know, the thing is, I'm not some rich philanthropist, zillionaire that could, hey, send 20 tons of art over, you know. I have to be working in order to collect art, you know, because I'm a working actor. And I go there. So whenever I'm working, much to the chagrin of people around me, I buy art, you know. And I sometimes I've done acting jobs where I got paid in art, you know, because I wanted it. I know. I said, well, we can't afford your price, but is there anything? Well, I want these paintings. Okay, we can run it through the art department, you know, and disguise it that way. And I've gotten art that way, you know. But it's. I mean, it's a joy. I mean, it really is a joy. And my biggest joy is sharing it with other people. You know, I want my mantra has been, you can't love or hate Chicano art unless you see it. And once you see it, it dispels all previous notions or no notion that you had of Chicano art. And mostly the reaction is, whoa, I didn't think it was going to be, I like this. And that's always been the reaction, you know, so it's really gratifying.
And so to that point, the book is Chicanitas, Small Paintings from the Cheech Marin Collection. You can find out more about it at cheechmarin.com. The show's in Wyoming right now. It's coming to San Diego next year, early next year. Yep. So
December.
Finally, in December, okay. So finally, thank you to Cheech Marin for being with us tonight.
My pleasure. Thank you. Thank you very
Always
much
a
for
pleasure.
showing up tonight.
And one last time to my colleagues, John Rabe and Rena Palto.
Thank you, Oscar Garza and Cheech Marin. Their conversation continues online at kpcc.org. They're going to do about a half-hour Q&A with the audience here and more conversation. So go online, kpcc.org, make a contribution, but also stay in this conversation. This is about everything Cheech is talking about is stuff that we try to emulate here at KP. That's why it's such a perfect mix. Get out, explore, think, learn, try stuff. It's wonderful. Give it kpcc.org.
You can also call 866-888-5722, and we are amidst a massive dollar-for-dollar challenge here. Any contribution is being doubled automatically, and we have about $1,965 to go to make the full $100,000 challenge from SCPR trustee Doug Cranwinkle and his wife Susan.
Wow.
And I think we can do this.
So to be clear, Doug Cranwinkle and his wife Susan said, we'll give you $100,000 as a dollar-for-dollar match, but you got to go out and get all those other people up to $100,000. We've almost maxed it out, but we need to max out that final about $2,000 because that's going to go for electricity for the transmitter. It's going to help us cover some more stories. It's going to help us produce some videos at kpcc.org. It's going to help us do the social media that connects people across Southern California. Give now at kpcc.org. Your $15 a month becomes $30 a month.
Like magic.
Like magic, Cranwinkle magic. kpcc.org or 866-888-5722. Cheech, I'm very sorry. The dog's name here that's wearing the pet bandana, the $5 a month pet bandana, its name isn't Poochie. Its name is Fifi.
Fifi.
I totally forgot. Yeah, I forgot.
Don't get him started.
No, I won't. kpcc.org or 866-888-5722.
We've got $1,600 to go in this dollar-for-dollar challenge. 866-888-5722. Join, renew, or make an additional contribution now. Your support at $15 a month makes everything we do possible. And today only, you get a travel mug with the KPCC logo on it.
Which is right here being, Fifi is guarding the travel mug. You can see that online at kpcc.org. Radio paints pictures. When I was talking about Fifi, you guys all immediately thought of two very handsome Chicano men on stage on their hands and knees sniffing each other's butts. Come on. It's a wonderful way to paint pictures on the radio, kpcc.org.
Exactly. So now's the time. Open up your wallet. See what's in there. If there's $20, we can automatically make it $40. Woo. We've got $1,400 to go on this dollar-for-dollar challenge. 866-888-5722 or kpcc.org, and listen to the rest of this great conversation.
Online at kpcc.org, and watch it too, because we got the webcams going. Give at kpcc.org because of all these different ways that we're reaching out to connect communities in Southern California. Social media, Twitter, Facebook, not just tweeting silly stuff, although I do my share of that, but real stuff, real information. We've got the fire tracker going. We've got stuff at kpcc.org, videos, photos, conversations happening. The radio, we're doing that too. Give at kpcc.org.
Exactly. We've got great new blogs, Audio Vision, Represent. Yep. We've got a lot of stuff going on at kpcc.org. And as long as you're there, how about kicking in $15 a month to make everything we do here possible? A travel mug at $15 a month. That doesn't seem like a bad deal.
No, it's good. It's a very interesting travel mug. We got good news. Audience here is reacting because they can see the Pledge Drive computer screen that we can see, that we get our cues off of.
Yep.
And the news is that $100,000 has been matched. So thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
But don't stop now. If you want to get on the bandwagon, we encourage it. Join now at kpcc.org or call 866-888-5722. It's up to you. This station will get better if you give at kpcc.org, and thank you very much.
This is 89.3 KPCC, Pasadena, Los Angeles, a public service of Pasadena City College, a global community college for the 21st century. Learn more at pasadena.edu.
It is Tuesday, October 8th. I'm Michelle Martin from NPR News. It's Tell Me More.
Okay. We're not on the radio anymore. But we're still on video, right? So we're going to keep our clothes on because, you know, they usually do these pledge drives in the studios, and they're not usually dressed up anywhere near as nicely as this, I have to say. When John said, you know, something about the two handsome Chicano men on stage, I was like, and then I thought, oh no, he's not talking about us. All right, so we're gonna continue our conversation with Cheech for another 30 minutes, okay. And we want to take questions from you as well. I hope you've been thinking about some questions for Cheech. If you want, does anybody have questions about Chicano, about his art collection off the bat? Because we are going to switch gears here and talk about some other topics as well. While we have Mr. Marin on stage here, there's a question here in the front.
Hello.
Hi.
Do you only collect paintings, or do you collect sculptures or three-dimensional art?
I have some sculptures, but overwhelmingly paintings, because that's what I know. But I have some glass sculptures by the De La Torre brothers, and I'm starting to collect Chicano pottery. You know, I was a potter, professional potter, for a couple of years, and I like this little subgenre that's emerging is painters who make clay, and they're really good, man. So I'm trying to gather enough of those to put together a show too. That's the great thing about now is I've gone around the country and have relationships with a lot of museums, and they have been inviting me back to do more shows. So yeah, there'll be pottery for sure.
There's a question in the back. Raise your hand, and one of our colleagues will bring you a microphone.
I was wondering, you mentioned some of that you look at art in the West Side, but how about Northeast LA? Where do you go to look at art?
Northeast. That's in the valley, like?
Northeast is like Eagle Rock to Lincoln Heights, from Garvanza to Elysian Valley.
There's a Fremont Gallery in Pasadena, and just the other day we're at Chimaya in, where is actually East LA, and Avenue 50 in
Highland Park. Yeah.
Highland Park. A lot of Chimaya was wonderful, and Avenue 50 is they're great, and you can really discover new artists, and so the thing is, you develop an eye over a year, and it's not like something that you're just born with. You develop it, just like you lift weights to get big muscles. The more art you see, the more art you can tell what is good and what isn't good, and so at these galleries, these particular galleries at Chimaya and Avenue 50 and Fremont, yeah, and that's here in Pasadena. You can just see a parade of Chicano artists that are amazing.
Right up here in front, Elaine, can we get?
So, Cheech, I just wondered if you've encountered really good work that's too strong to live with, and you can't buy it because it would drive you nuts.
Well, I don't think there is any that category exists for me because I can do any art. People I have to live with, you know. There's just sometimes my wife is like, she's from Russia, and she, I don't know about that one, you know. It's like, well, but that's the coolest one. I don't know, okay. And it's the same thing when I was doing Chicano Visions. There was one painting called "Kill the Pachuco Bastards" by Vincent Valdez, the youngest painter in the group, and it was the story of the 1944 Zoot Suit riots here in L.A., which was a factual event, and there was a mayhem going on in this painting. There was rapes and beatings and stabbings and everything. So when we were playing the Smithsonian, I always put the painting up, and the curator came and said, I don't know about this painting, you know, because there's going to be a lot of school kids here, and this is kind of very graphic. And I thought about it for a minute. I said, you know what? Every major museum I've ever been in the world has some version of the rape of the Sabine women. And it says, it just depends on whose ox is getting gored here. And when you put it in those terms, they go, okay. And they put it up, and it was a big hit, so. Yeah, I don't think there is any strong. I mean, I'm sure there is, but I don't have any.
All right. Well, if you have more questions, raise your hand, and we'll make our way over there. If you're watching online right now, we're talking with Cheech Marin about his art collection.
A little bit different perspective. You have some really nice children's books. One of which I recall, Cheech and the Bus Driver. Great stories. Do you plan on doing any more work in that area?
Yeah, I'd like to. You know, that started off as actually it was a musical album, Cheech the Bus Driver, and it was 2 musical albums before. It was all Tex-Mex children's music. And it was some of the best things I've ever done, really. Really, the music was wonderful, and the stories were great. They were very instructive and funny at the same time. And then there was books made out of that. And I'd like to do that again. I'd like to do some kind of animated project on TV, so it'd be an ongoing thing. But working in the children's medium, it's funny because you work at the top of your intelligence, and it has to be very simplified, but as smart as you can get it, because kids are smarter than you. Way smarter, and they get it right away. You know, you don't have to make it all fancy. You just have to be truthful, and they get it.
Back in here, in the back.
Cheech, my name is Lauren, and I do not know much about art. All right, I appreciate it, but I don't know much about it. I do appreciate you and what you're doing tonight for us, for the radio station, for the listeners. Please. I'd like to say thank you for this.
Oh,
okay?
Thank you. My pleasure.
Thank you. My question is, at what point did your passion for art become, I must collect? Where did you flip and say, I have to have this? When did it become this drive for you? You know, and what was that?
You know, when you first start collecting art, we actually get to the point we have some money to buy some art, you know. It's like, wow, I can actually buy a nice painting, and you buy something that's going to fit over the couch, and you know, really, and it would be cool if it was blue, you know, because that's my color scheme here. And so I started doing that, and so and then I have an obsessive personality or an addictive personality, and like, well, it's aided and embedded by Chicano artists, because once they know someone's buying, they're all there, you know. Oh, I know this cousin. Hey, you got to see this guy and this girl, you know? And so they're on, and then you have a multitude of choices, man, and they're all great. And you know, like, oh wow, I like that one too. And what I got into really early is collecting multiple examples of one artist. Like if I was to Carlos Almaraz, I bought a lot of Carlos Almaraz or Patsy Valdez or John Valadez or and Wayne Healy or any of those guys, you know. Like because I wanted to see the range of their work. And when I exhibited them, a lot of exhibits they will take one painting by a painter and another painting by another painter. But when I exhibited the first time, I wanted multiple examples of every painter together, so you could see the range of their work, because I was promoting the painters.
When you started doing it was when you could.
Yeah, when I could, actually. Yes. Come on, make that pledge, and you can too.
I'm going to switch gears a little bit and let's talk about some other topics.
Okay. Dodgers, yeah!
I was going to save that for last, but since you brought it up, I was poking around your website, and there were on your blog there were some entries about baseball, and I had no idea you were a baseball fan.
From the time I could talk,
yeah,
I played baseball all my life, and it was the first great heartbreak of my life when I didn't get a scholarship to college to play ball. Yeah, I was like, wait a minute, you haven't seen I was an all-star all the time up until boom, and then nothing. I was high school and Little League and Babe Ruth, and I was going to be Albie Person. Albie Person, I don't know if anybody remembers, he was the littlest guy in the majors, but he was this great player, and I was going to be him. And then, boom, nothing. And it just broke my heart. I never played baseball again after that. But because it was my whole life.
And but always a Dodger fan?
Yeah, always a Dodger fan. I was a Dodger fan when they were in Brooklyn. When I was a little kid, they were on every Saturday live in black and white, and it would just coincided with Jackie Robinson, and Jackie Robinson was my favorite player, not because he was African American, it's because he was the most exciting player. He was just he would steal home, which is the most daring play in all of sports. Think about it. You got a guy running as fast as he can from third base with his head down, trying to get to the same spot that a pitcher's throwing 90 miles an hour to confront a guy that's fully armored, and trying to stop you. And that's the stealing home. And he used to do it all the time and win and score. And it was the most exciting thing. And then when they moved here to L.A., man, it was I saw them first at the Coliseum, and I was there all the time, I saw Sandy Koufax pitch a perfect game, a no-hitter, strike out 18 guys.
Did you ever go anywhere else except to the baseball games?
Yeah, no, I saw the Rams until they became the Disney Lambs, and then I gave up on them.
So what do you make of this version of the Dodgers?
They're great, man. They're they're kind of lazy at the beginning of the season, and they had injuries, and they've had injuries all year, and then they won 42 out of 50 games, and they went from 10 back to 10 in front. Los Dodgers.
And one of the pieces that you wrote online, you were writing about the essentially the takeover of baseball by Latin America, and black and Latin African players, actually.
Yeah.
And we're seeing that this year with the Dodgers with Yasiel Puig.
What a case.
Yeah, it's an amazing story. There's if you can remember to look for this story, you may hear it tomorrow morning on NPR, but a reporter named Shireen Marisol Maraji, who used to work here, in fact, she's now a reporter for National Public Radio, did a story about how, whether there's some racism involved in the way the media's reporting about him. It's fascinating. It's a fascinating topic.
About Yasiel?
Yes.
Well, yeah, as an interesting character. Let's put all these elements together. Cuban, from Cuba, 22 years old, phenomenal baseball player. Let's give him $40 million. See what happens. Yeah. So we're seeing.
Yeah. It's a good thing you didn't have $40 million when you were 22.
I didn't have $40. No, but he's an amazing player. I don't know if you've ever seen him play, but this kid is phenomenal. He's like a Willie Mays, who was absolutely the best baseball player ever to live.
Thank you very much.
And he played for the bad guys, But I was in love with Willie Mays, man. He could do no wrong. And
let's talk about your reunion, essentially, with Tommy Chong.
Yeah.
Which, go ahead. You can
Thank you.
So, which has been going on for a couple of years now?
4.
4 years.
Yeah.
So there wasn't really a falling out, I don't think.
But yeah, there was.
There was. Actually, I meant to say there was a falling out. So what brought you back together?
Money. I mean, in the best sense of the word. Yeah. I'm not that it's a bad thing. No, I mean, we kind of went on and did our separate careers, and all during that time, Cheech and Chong didn't go away. It got bigger. because everybody, all the kids grew up watching the movies on video and to that, so that audience kept growing and growing. And so wherever I went, you guys are gonna make another movie, gonna get together. So I watched for 20 years. I watched this audience get bigger and bigger and bigger because of what the feedback I was getting from everybody. And I knew eventually we were gonna do something, you know, because we have that love for each other, and we have a real love-hate relationship, and that love for each other was like it was undeniable. So I knew we were gonna do something eventually.
And what was it like, sort of getting it up again and getting it going again with them?
It was easier than it was the first time.
Oh.
You know, we got on stage 4 years ago in a comedy club in La Jolla, the Comedy Store, and we never even rehearsed. We just kind of like, hey, why don't we do this bit and that bit? Okay. And I walked out of the audience and got on stage with them, and it was like we'd been separated for 20 seconds, not 20 years. And that's exactly how, you know, comedy teams are the hardest thing to do in show business because they require so much compromise and such a mixture of talents that have to kind of coalesce with one another. And you have to give up a lot, you have to give a lot. And so you don't see any comedy teams right now. I mean, think of one that's going today. And they only come around once in a generation because the two perfect guys have to find each other. And Tommy and I found each other.
Where did you meet? I can't.
We met in Vancouver, Canada.
Right.
Yeah, he's Canadian.
Right.
So he was there.
You were. You were not.
No, I was a landed immigrant at the time. I'd lived in Canada for 3 years, almost 4 years, and eventually I made my way to Vancouver, and I met Tom, and he was actually a musician just like I was all our lives, and he had a band with Motown Records called Bobby Taylor and the Vancouvers.
Right. Wrote Does Your Mama Know About Me?
Does Your Mama Know About Me, which is a big R&B hit,
yeah.
and crossed over. Everybody recorded, Diana Ross and the Supremes, and Jermaine Jackson, and Stephanie Mills, and all, and they had a big hit. But when he was on the road, he had seen improvisational theater, Second City, the Committee in San Francisco, and when he got back to Vancouver after the band broke up, he decided that's what he wanted to do. So he went into his family's nightclub, family-owned nightclub. He left that nightclub to them when he went on the road. Okay, you run it. So they turned it into Vancouver's first topless club. Cool. And it was in the worst section of town. I mean, there was no worse section of town than Main and Pender, with Chinatown, Junkieville, Skid Row, where this thing was. And so he came back, and it was a strip club. And so he says, but I still want to do improv. So he made it naked improv. It's great. I mean, I was getting paid $5 more a week to hang out with naked women, smoke dope, and do improv than deliver carpets. You know, so I don't know. Let me see the girls. You know, and so that's essentially what it boiled down to. We were doing hippie burlesque, and it was great.
And you guys you're still touring.
Yeah, right now we're still touring. We're on. Thank God for Indian casinos, man. I mean, it's like there's more Indian casinos right now than there were Indians when Columbus landed. You know. I'm not kidding. They're everywhere, and they're keeping show business alive. You know, in the days when artists can't make a living selling records, which was a big market before, everybody's out there doing live dates, and casinos are the #1 draw. They pay a lot of money, and they're everywhere. I'm going to go do one in a couple of days in Biloxi, Mississippi. Who knew?
Any other questions from the audience? Raise your hand and we'll get a microphone to
Yes,
you.
sir, right there.
Okay, thank you.
I was a very young man, excuse me, a little boy actually. East LA College. I think it was after your first album with Tommy Chong.
Yeah.
Do you remember that year?
It had to be 72. 72, yeah.
I'm just trying to nail down the year, that's all.
Yeah.
1972.
Oh, okay.
I remember
Is this for
going
court
there.
or something? Or?
So basically,
It cost $4.
Yeah.
$4
So what
to
you're
get in.
saying is that your memory is worse than his. And that's
the only way I can remember stuff. It has to be part of a court proceeding, you know. Yes, that was in 72, Your Honor. And
yes, one more.
Just a comment. You mentioned Albie Pearson, a Los Angeles icon. I actually saw Albie Pearson hit a home run one time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you know baseball, it was like, what? You know.
He was the littlest guy in the
Right,
majors.
he was 5'5".
Yeah, 5'5", and he
5'5",
was
and
fat. He played center field.
He hit a home run at Dodger Stadium when the Angels were still playing there.
Yeah.
I'm dating
Oh
myself,
man, he was my hero.
It was down the line.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, it was not straightaway center.
He was fast, and he was a leadoff hitter. I did everything that Albie Pearson did. I was a leadoff hitter. I was a base stealer. I was a fielder, and I could knock around 2-3 homers a year. You know, so like, yeah, he was a great guy.
A mutual friend of ours, Josh Kuhn, who teaches at USC, recently did this project this year called Songs in the Key of Los Angeles, where they went through the music sheet collection at the Los Angeles Public Library to find songs that had been written about Los Angeles and Southern California. And so a couple of months ago, they did a big concert at Grand Performances downtown, and Mr. Marin showed up and sang
Born in East LA. That was great.
When was the last time you performed that?
The night before.
Yeah.
Yeah. At some casino.
Some casino.
Yeah.
So, are you doing that as part of the show?
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's my iconic song, man. Yeah. No, that was the first thing I did, separate from Tommy, is we split, and I was working on this album that we did together, and it was our last thing. And I needed one more song for this album, and I wrote "Born in East LA," and that led to getting an offer to do a movie, "Born in East LA," and that was the start of my solo career. But that was I sing that every night. We have a salsa dance that goes with it too now, man.
Well, we're not going to ask you.
Not me.
Anything else? Any other questions? So I want to thank you very much again. This is, I don't know, the third or fourth time I've had the chance to sit down with you. And it's always a delight. It's always a pleasure. And you're always very generous with your time. And we appreciate that very much.
Thank you very much. And thank you very much for supporting KPCC. We really appreciate it. And keep supporting, you know, because I want to have some place to go.
Thank you all for coming. For those of you watching online, thank you very much. And good night.
Thank you very much. Good night now. Well, cool. That was good.